At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability. ASU isn't just ahead of the curve, it's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Stop by Sherwin-Williams and get 30% off select paints and stains June 13th through the 23rd. It's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Refresh your home inside and out with colors that make every space feel brand new. From cozy interiors to stunning exteriors, we've got the perfect shade for your next project. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Click the banner to learn more. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Hi, this is Colby from the Colby Cast.
This is Greg McLaughlin from the Rebel Base Card Podcast.
This is Ross Sullivan of Fantha Tracks.
Hi, this is Dan Z from Coffee with Kenobi, and you are listening to
Star Wars Reactions.
Star Wars Reactions.
Star Wars Reactions.
Star Wars Reactions.
Elegant discussion.
Elegant discussion.
For a more civilized age.
For a more civilized age. Aaron, you do it better, buddy. I did my best.
There's been an awakening. Have you felt it?
In 1977, George Lucas formed a legacy.
Force is with me, and I am with the Force.
Inspired by mythology, his saga has become a passion for many.
Feel the Force around you.
His legend has become our story.
It's true. All of it.
One of resistance.
We are a spark that'll light the fire that'll bring the First Order down.
Rebellion.
Rebellion is built on hope.
And redemption.
I am a Jedi, like my father before.
This is Star Wars Reactions.
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.
No, you're not hearing things, y'all. Don't adjust your volumes. Don't hit the skip button. You're not hearing things. Your brain is telling you the right thing. This is Star Wars Reactions. We're back, and we're better than ever, baby. So let's get this party rolling. If you can't, I know it's been a while, but if you can't tell, my name is Aaron Harris, and I'm one of your hosts here. And joining me is the man, the myth, the legend, and you're soon to hear the dulcet tones of his voice again, the David Motters. David, long time no see.
Long time no see, long time no talk, long time no podcast, but we're back, like you said, better than ever. We're ready to go. I'm ready to react. That's for you, Greg McLaughlin over at the Rebel Base Card, and looking forward to just chatting a bit with you, brother.
Absolutely. If you can't tell this, if you look at your feed, you'll see this is the first time we've been on the air in a while. I know we had Greg and Anthony King did an episode for us back in April just to liven things up a little bit on our feeds, but welcome back. It's good to be back behind the mic, and this kickoff episode, bringing us back from unplanned hiatus, is actually just going to be the 9th volume of our Random Chatter series. We are going to sit back and just chat about things that, about a variety of topics, real quick, just to get caught up with y'all, so y'all know what was happening. So this is it is sweet to be back behind the mic. I know this hiatus that we had, where our last actual episode that David and I did was back in February, and it was not a planned hiatus for us. If you follow me on social media, I know I wasn't active much at all the February, March, and most of April, really. I mean, I was pretty quiet. Most of any news you saw from me would have been mostly on Facebook, where my sister had tagged me in doing family updates and stuff. But long story short, and I'm going to avoid a lot of the gory details and stuff, but the end of January, my mom went into the hospital, and she progressively got worse, needed open heart surgery, and uh, got that surgery at the right there at the beginning of April, and never recovered and on April 8th, my mom passed away. And it's been a rough couple months. I'm not going to lie. I have really struggled, and David knows I've been chatting with David and with Greg a lot on stuff, because it just, man, it's been, I wasn't something that we really expected. Mom had cancer, it was a cancer survivor and everything. And ever after her cancer treatment, she always got sick here and there, and we'd always bounce right back. It was no problem. So when I got the call that, hey, your mom is sick and she's in the hospital again. Oh, okay. That's this guy. Okay. She'll be fine. Then my sister called me and she's like, yeah, this is a little different. I'm like, okay. So I went up, and 3 days before I went up, she was intubated. And I actually, by the time I got up there, she was pretty much in a induced coma, pretty much with being intubated, and never really was awake the whole time I was there. And it was kind of surreal for the most part. And I was actually away from my home. Y'all know I live in Central Florida. I was in Alabama. I was in Central Alabama for about 7 weeks altogether, and through that time, and it just, it's for me sitting here now. We're recording this June 12th of 2025. I can't tell you where the last 4 months went. I really can't. Everything was just such a blur, and just kind of flew by. And then, because it was just, that was it. I mean, that was pretty much it. And there's, a lot of mental demons, a lot of, it's Men's Health Month. So, I mean, it's kind of appropriate we're talking about this, David. I mean, but it's, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm okay, because, I'm not. I'm still struggling. I opened up Facebook 2 days ago and was scrolling through and got an alert to, hey, you have memories. And I first opened up my memories, and the first one there was my oldest daughter, who actually graduated high school 2 weeks ago. Was a picture of her when she was 5, dressed up like a doctor, taking care of my mom, who had just had a radiation treatment for her cancer fight. And that picture popped up, and I lost it. But yeah, that was the trigger for the hiatus, guys. That's why we were gone. And I appreciate, I know there's some of you that knew what was going on and reached out and checked on me, and kept in communication. Daz Davies over there, and kept messaging me regularly just to check in on me. And of course, David, you and Greg were, I mean, y'all held me up quite a bit, and I'll never be able to repay y'all for that. I can't thank y'all enough. But yeah, that's why we've been away for a little bit. So that's what I've been doing. Dave, how has your break been?
Well, I think, Greg McLaughlin, he'd lost his dad. And of course, you've been there with me the whole time. I went through losing dad in 2021, and then mom in beginning of 2023. And, we're at that age where we're dealing with the loss of parents, and this is really not cool. And so I love that there's so much support within the Star Wars community, and just during the break, you and I texted a lot. We've got daughters who are the same age and in high school. In the busyness of May, you and I just said, you know what, we've always said it family first, and we've never, you know, uh, put the podcast, right before family, our marriages, our kids, and our parents, a number of times I had to take a break when I was flying to Michigan. With you, I think Greg, and of course Greg's up in Illinois and I'm here in Central Florida like you. And sometimes we couldn't keep track of where you were on the plane, man. You'd send a picture, you're in Philadelphia on the way over to Alabama, different routes. I couldn't keep track of you, man. And so, but I'm just thankful you're back, and we're with you the whole way. And the first year is quite a bit, and like you and I have talked before, buddy, and I talked to so many clients over 30 years. You're never going to hear me say the C word. I'll say it right now so people know what it is. But it doesn't apply to loss of parents or the closure. There is no closure. I tell people all the time, don't say that to people. About their parents, their kids, anything. Just there is no closure. Time will help, but there is no closure. And I remember my dad saying it. My dad's like, he was what, 65 at the time? He goes, Dave, my dad's been gone 33 years. Do I have closure? No. I miss my dad. Are things better? Yes, but there is no closure.
Yeah.
So, so I'm just glad that we can be there with you. I'm glad we can be back on and talk and talk with, each other and really kind of talk to our friends too, who will jump on and listen and stuff like that too. So we'll move forward and have some fun too. We need it, right?
Oh, yeah, we definitely need it. It's going to be a journey for sure. And that's why, I wanted to come back. I mean, because there's a lot we have to cover. But I wanted to at least have our first episode back from a hiatus be a random chatter. So this is something we can discuss and give everybody updates. And I think it's funny that you said you couldn't keep track of me. I couldn't keep track of where I was. I mean, I live in Central Florida. I flew out of Tampa, and my first flight to Alabama, I mean, I could have driven in 8 hours, 9 hours, but I didn't want to do that under the conditions I was in. But I flew out of Tampa to Philadelphia to come back to Birmingham. Then when I left Birmingham to come home, I flew out of Birmingham to Dallas, then to Tampa, which was really weird because, I can deal with Philly. I used to live in Pennsylvania. I can deal with Philly. But Dallas, man, that's a different beast. If y'all aren't aware, when it comes to football, I'm a Washington fan. Being in Dallas is being like, like Cassian Andor being on the Death Star. It's just I was a pilgrim in an unholy land. But no, just kidding, guys. I had a lot of friends in Dallas area, but if you're a football fan, you know what I mean. It's like a Miami fan going up to Boston to see the Patriots. It's just not, it's weird. Being in Dallas was weird, but it was, flights were good. I'll say that. That's about all I'll say. But it was an adventure. But and you brought up in the hiatus, yes, I had a lot of tragedy and everything going on, but you and I, David, like you mentioned, we both had a great highlight. Both of our girls are the same age, and both graduated high school during the hiatus. So that was something to celebrate and to enjoy. I know we had a great graduation for my daughter. She had a great graduation and did really well. We're proud of her, and I know your daughter, and I know I'm proud of her too. She's a sweetheart. So
he's a keeper.
So, yes, and so we definitely had had some things to celebrate too. But I got to say, one thing I did enjoy doing, because being on this hiatus and we were going through everything that was going on, we were taking the break while I was trying to pull myself together, is we did something that we have not done in 8-9 years. We actually got to sit down and watch a Star Wars show as a fan, not as a podcaster. I think that was probably one of the most amazing things. We watch these shows podcasting all the time, but we're watching it, we're analyzing it, we're taking notes, we're enjoying it, but it's a different type of enjoyment. Whereas to just turn off the brain and sit back and enjoy it was another level. Of course, I'm talking about Andor, and of course we had Tales of the Underworld come out as well. So I know we're going to, our plans are to cover those like we normally would have when it aired. But I figured, for our random chatter, we need to have some kind of Star Wars talk. So let's just go through some general thoughts about these shows. Let's kick it off with the big one. Let's kick it off with Andor season 2. David, tell me I've heard some of your thoughts through our chats with our texts with David, with Greg and everybody, but tell our listeners, what were your thoughts on season 2 of Andor?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's incredible. I mean, people have sung its praises, and I've listened to other podcasts and their coverage and stuff like that. I thoroughly enjoyed it. You nailed it, buddy. And we actually, like you said, we're texting with Greg about this, and it was just the ability to sit back and just enjoy it. And it worked out really good with Andor because, historically these things are one episode, we cover it, and with this 3-hour block, oh man, it wreaked havoc on podcasters, and we know that. And for us just to be able to sit back and enjoy it, I really loved it. And I think in talking to you and Greg, we kind of would watch an hour or two, take a break, watch another hour, or I watched 1 hour on Tuesday night and the next 2 hours the next night. And everyone had to do it in a different way. But something that I'll just say this in terms of general thoughts. I heard Dan, our buddy Dan Zier, on Rebel Base Card, kind of doing a summary show of it, and Dan nailed it. And and Greg had been saying it as well, is that the setup, although I loved it and I get why they did it, I think it was for everything by May 31st for Emmy nominations.
Yeah.
It affected the communal experience. People were watching it at all different times. I didn't text you or Greg anywhere near what it was because I had no idea where you were, where Greg was. You guys didn't have any idea where. But generally, when there was a 1 hour show like Skeleton Crew or Mandalorian season 1 through 3, we all pretty much watched it, and then we were texting each other, an hour to hour and 10 minutes after that episode dropped because we watched it. And I know I'm not spoiling it for you or Greg and stuff like that, but this, you couldn't do that. Couldn't do it. And Dan said that, that was a biggie. And quite honestly, Greg has talked about this extensively. Does Disney Plus want subscribers? I mean, I know they're hemorrhaging blood, and we're not going to get any more big shows like Andor. I don't think it's going to happen. It's going to be movies perhaps, but, we should be covering this all through the summer, right? I mean, that many episodes, but, they're a multi-billion-dollar company. I think they know what they're doing, but I think it was for the Emmy stuff, right? Maybe they don't. I mean, all these the streaming. What are they? The streaming stuff. I don't know if it's dead, man. I Netflix is fine, but all the rest I think are hurting. But those are just some of my thoughts. Again, I know we get over into that kind of how many episodes do you show per night?
Yeah.
But overall, I loved it. I loved how it led right into Rogue One, and I watched Rogue One after finishing that last episode, and I've heard some people say they even went right into episode 4, but I it's the level of writing and act. I mean, it's as good as you get, right, buddy?
Oh, absolutely. I Andor was one of those experiences that will never come again. I mean, it was. I hate to say it, but it was absolutely incredible. The level of writing and acting and production, and I mean the story. You know, when they announced they were doing 3 episodes a week, and I was dumbfounded. I could not for the life of me understand why. But watching it when it came out and watching it that way, watching the 3 episodes each week, and the way the arcs flowed. You had the 3 episode arc, which told a complete story, but then carried on the elements of that story carried on into the next arc, which then had its own complete story, which then carried absolutely genius. It honestly felt like going back to the Clone Wars, because the Clone Wars had these episode arcs, and there was always an element or two that would carry over into another arc down the road. So it felt like that kind of writing again and that kind of storytelling, which was very appealing, because who doesn't like the Clone Wars? But man, Diego Luna killed it. And I'll say this, because I don't want to go too much into what I liked and didn't like, because we will be covering the arcs here in the near future. But I never thought, after season 1 of Andor ended, I never thought for the life of me that they would make me feel bad or feel for Deidre Merrill. I never, by the end of season 1, I was like, I'm like, she is like the great villain. Oh my gosh, she is evil. She's great. Perfect foil for Andor. Oh my gosh, this is going to be awesome. Her going after Luthen and Andor, this is going to be great. And then all of a sudden, everything plays out in season 2, and I'm like, I feel really bad for that girl. I feel bad.
Yeah.
I hurt for her. Oh, but man, fantastic, absolutely fantastic series. It's 2 seasons, all we get of it. I understand it. Man, that was just fantastic. And I like how each arc advanced a year from the previous one. So there's still room for more storytelling. So we could get some more, stories, whether in comics or books or tales of the rebellion or something like that, where it's filling in gaps and stuff. So that's definitely a possibility because they have that space for storytelling. But man, Andor was just Andor made it for me. I loved it. I absolutely loved it, and I cannot wait to break into Andor when we get around to reviewing those episodes. Tales of the Underworld also came out. That was that May 4th it came out?
It was, buddy.
May 4th, Star Wars Day. Yeah, we missed Star Wars Day, dude. Jeez.
I don't know.
I had so much going on. I didn't even realize Star Wars Day. But Tales of the Underworld, the animated shorts. We had 6 shorts. 3 about Cad Bane and 3 about Asajj Ventress. What did you think of those, David?
Yeah, I was looking at them the other day. I liked Tales of the Jedi the most. It's almost in order. I liked that came out first, enjoyed it. Next most, Tales of the Empire with Morgan Elsbeth and who else did we have? Morgan Elsbeth and Barriss Offee.
Barriss Offee.
Yep, Barriss Offee. And then this one third. With Ventress and with Cad Bane. I've been thinking about this, and I was gonna, run it by you, but I thought, it's just easier to talk versus text about it. Is, we think about Boba Fett and the mystery behind him and how that really pulled people in.
Mm-hmm.
There's a real mystery behind Cad Bane too, and I have to admit, by the end of it, did I really need to know that? buddy, and they followed again. And I like the mystery of Cad Bane. The
Mhm.
way it ended in Book of Boba Fett, where he's battling Boba Fett, that's fine with me.
Yeah.
Loved him through Clone Wars, like you said. Who doesn't love Clone Wars? They're just incredible. But out of the two, I like Ventress's more than Bane's. But even with Ventress, you and I talked about this. I think we might even have talked about it on air that I went back to the Dark Disciple book and went through
Mhm.
that before Bad Batch season two. Two?
Mhm.
Yeah, is that
Season
right? Or three?
season 3.
It was Bad Batch season three, and love the ending for Asajj in that. We were all like, "How can she be in Bad Batch?" This explains it. The way she came back, I don't know. I thought she had a great ending. And then she takes on a Padawan, which is another survivor of Order 66. We got a lot of it. So, I like Asajj Ventress. I love Nika Futterman's voice, but I liked, well, the least. I like this the least out of the three sets of Tales of.
Mhm.
I don't know. What are your thoughts, buddy?
Yeah. I gotta say, it was one of those things that, first off, I gotta say, I don't agree with your order. I have my personal order. I loved Tales of the Jedi, but then I go to Tales of the Underworld, then Tales of the Empire. To me,
Mm,
Tales of the Empire just completely missed its mark, in my
right.
opinion. Tales of the Underworld, I loved the Asajj story, the Ventress story. I thought that was perfect. Um, the Cad Bane story, I'm not again, I'm not going to get into reasons why. I did not enjoy the Cad Bane story. It completely, I don't, it just, I don't know. It missed the mark for me. It was a swing and a miss. And if it was baseball, it was a triple play. I mean, 3 outs, 1 swing. It was bad for me.
Yeah.
It missed on all fronts, but Ventress story I really enjoyed because I love how it filled in that gap and it answered that question that everybody was talking about when she showed up in Bad Batch, when it came to Dark Disciple and whether or not it was still canon or not. And they would say, yes, it still is. Trust us, it still is. And now you understand why, because they knew this was coming. They had already written this at that point. So they knew this was happening. So it filled in the gap perfectly. But but Tales of the Underworld, it was fine. On a scale of 1 to 10, I probably give it about a 6
Yeah.
overall. It was entertaining
Yeah.
to say the least. So,
Well, the thing with Cad Bane, and I don't know if Colby from the Colby cast listens to this, but I don't know why he had to have a different name. Why can't it be just Cad from the beginning? Colby sounds like the kid next door with glasses who's like not the athlete. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Cad Bane is cool, man. You know what I'm saying? He's cool. And yeah, I'm with you on that one. You know, anyways, yes, so we're in agreement. So,
oh yeah.
anyways,
Yeah, it is definitely it was interesting. There's a lot to dig into, and like I said, like we're going to do with the Andor, we will like we've done in the past with the other Tales of series. We will do 2 episodes, one on Ventress arc and the other on Cad Bane's arc, and we'll go into more detail of what we liked and didn't like because we try to keep things positive. And I will tell you, there was stuff in the Cad Bane arc that I enjoyed. There's a lot I didn't, but I can find positive things to say about it. Trust me, I will. But yeah, that's that. I know we're running out of time, but there was one thing I had to mention that was announced right before we sat down to record that I saw, not necessarily Star Wars related, kind of Star Wars parody related.
wow.
David, they're doing a Spaceballs 2.
Yes, I saw that.
40 years later, they're doing a Spaceballs 2. I about lost my mind. And not only are they doing Spaceballs 2, they've brought back Rick Moranis, who has been retired since 97. He's done some voice work, but he hasn't acted in anything. He did a commercial in 2020, but he hasn't acted in anything since 1997. They got Rick Moranis to come out of retirement for this to reprise Dark Helmet, and they got Bill Pullman to reprise his whole role as Lone Star. I mean, come on. I cannot wait for 2027 now.
Yeah.
We'll have to, I will say, we will have to do a special when it comes out just to cover it, because it is a Star Wars parody.
Yeah.
It is. Lucas gave his blessing on the first one. I mean, it's a Star Wars parody, so we will have to cover it when it comes out. We'll make it like a Thanksgiving special or something. I don't know, but depending on when it comes out. But it'll have to be. But that's 2027, plenty of time. So, all right. Well, anything else you want to say before we start wrapping things up, buddy?
No, just glad to be back, and hopefully everybody enjoyed our triumphant return.
Absolutely. We are back, and we will continue to be back. So be on the lookout for new episodes coming out more regularly now. You can keep track of what's happening with Star Wars reactions all over social media. I'm out of practice on this, David, so let's see if I can get this right. You can find us everywhere on social media. We are on Facebook and X at SW Reactions Pod. We are on TikTok, Instagram, Threads, Tumblr, Pinterest, YouTube at SW Reactions. You can email us at swreactions@gmail.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at, oh my gosh.
At SpeakPipe.
SpeakPipe, that's it. Speakpipe.com/Star Wars Reactions.
Okay.
David for the rescue. Woo. There you. I got to get back and I got to start practicing that at least once a day now to at least get the flow back. So, David, if somebody wants to follow up with you, how would they go about doing that online?
Yeah, Twitter X at David_Motters, and Instagram, it's just David Motters.
Excellent. Of course, best place to find me is on X at TA Harris 121079. You can also hit me up. I'm also going to go ahead and throw in, because I'm doing a little bit more on Instagram too. So I'm trying to get back into it. Instagram at TA Harris 121079. That one's a little bit more family based, not necessarily Star Wars, but more Star Wars on X, but it's there. So there we go. So with that, David, that brings us to the end.
All right.
You know what that means.
All right, let's do it.
That means for the first time since February, it is time for the Star Wars Dad Joke of the Week.
All right.
And here we go. This one, I will preface by saying, was sent in by our listener, Adam Jung. He actually sent this in back in February before the hiatus happened, and my world got turned upside down. So I told him I was going to be using it eventually, and here it is. So what is a Jawa's favorite pasta?
What is a Jawa's favorite pasta?
Rotini!
Oh my God. That's actually kind of good. Rotini, that's
Rotini. David, my friend, it has been so good to talk to you again.
Great to be back talking to you, buddy.
Absolutely. Great to be back behind the mic. Thank y'all for listening and for bearing with us while we were out. It's and for waiting on us. Thank you for your patience. It's good to be back, and we look forward to visiting with y'all more regularly each week as we discuss and explore the Star Wars universe. So till then, I know it's been a while since I said this, but do something kind for somebody. Y'all did a lot of kindness for me while I was out, and have done a lot of kindness for me, even going back to the hurricane, which been a while, but y'all have been wonderful. So continue to do kind stuff for people. You'll never know how one single act of kindness can change a person's perspective and attitude for the day. So do that. And remember, this is your place for elegant discussion for more civilized. I forgot the last word of our slogan. Age. This is Carabast. This is your
Had to have one Carabast.
Carabast. This is your place for elegant discussion for a more civilized age.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or by Lucasfilm Limited. It's intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars. All names, sounds, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Disney and the respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Star Wars Reactions unless otherwise indicated. Star Wars Reactions. Elegant discussion for a more civilized age.